evening, everyone. Welcome to this Code Crafter Guidance Session series. I'm Mohammad Noman, and today I'm your host. So we are thrilled to have you with us as we dive into today topic software engineering for jobs beyond organizing is in collaboration with the student placement of the IIT Madras program. The SPC is the apex student body at IIT Madras. Engage closely with the industry induction cells. They spread all the placement and the internship related activities, student upskill session, and the company outreach efforts. Our collaborations aim to enhance these initiatives. At the Code Crafter, we are committed to promoting coding literacy and cultivating a deeper understanding among IITM BS degree students, equipping them with the foundational skills required for success in the digital age. Through our guest lecture series, we aim to create a dynamic community that share tech experience, knowledge, and serves as a source of inspiration for others to embark on their own transformative journey. Today, we honors to have Mr. Arpit Adlakha as our guest. Mr. Adlakha is a software engineer level 3 at a quizzes, and he previously contributed his expertise at AWS Vancouver. With over 8 years of experience in the field of computer science, his insights are invaluable. Now, without any further delay, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today's sessions, Mr. Arpit Adlakha. Over to you, sir.
Hey, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy that I get to talk to the young generation. I don't usually talk to the college folks, so it's been a pleasure to get invited to such a forum. Like you guys are gonna shape what our industry looks like in the
Mhm.
next 10 years or so, right? And with AI and stuff like that, I think we are going to do more in less time. So yeah, I think we'll talk about a lot of. I have these slides prepared by the club, I guess.
Mhm.
So just wanted to share that first, and then I also have some slides prepared. So I'll share that next. Okay,
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, so I think the session will more be about like what's going on, how I see the industry. People may have different
Mhm.
perspective about where the industry is going. Some people are like really threatened about whether the
I agree.
so-called AI agents are going to take over,
Yeah.
or or how it's going to happen for the next like few years. So yeah, and then we'll try to see like what are some jobs that are still like super high in demand, and then the as the agenda says, we'll see how we can
Mhm.
get there. uh, sure, sure. And then we'll talk about like how I got some interesting offers and what led to that, and how you can achieve that too. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And then I would want to give a lot of time at the end to
Mhm.
uh, do a lot of Q&A, because I whatever I say might not be relevant or for the questions that you guys have. So yeah, feel free to ask questions. I'll try to answer in the best way I can. And where do I see the industry right now? When I started out, it was a very different industry.
Yeah.
People were not sure about even coding problems were like probably the platform like Geeks for Geeks was only there. So
Mhm.
now we have like I don't know, like tons of people teaching, tons of people showing
Mm.
these coding platforms, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we are going to talk about. Uh, let's get started. Okay, so like as the topic is, we are going to talk about software engineering, right? So just wanted to touch upon, I think already that slide had it, but like the in-demand skills that we have right now, that I see in my company. So right now the company that I work for is like a 300, 400 folks company. So it's pretty easy to kind of see all the roles that we require for that kind of company to function, right? So for a bigger firm like AWS or something, right? It's like 8 lakh people that AWS had. Like I was in AWS, right? So it's difficult to see what all roles are relevant and what all roles are manifested or created just for that company to function. But for a decent small size company, there's also some very critical roles that they'll fulfill, right? So it's not gonna be like every role they create for their function, but mostly just the roles which are very much required. So yeah, we'll talk about finding and exploring where can we find those job opportunities and how can we get those fang and jobs outside India. Like I just wanted as a college student, wanted to go go out of easy, right? Like you get a job at Google or Amazon, and then internally.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, good.
Sure. So yeah, so it's pretty easy. Like
Mhm.
there are things called about, like there are things said about Amazon that there is a
Mhm.
internal flight that runs from inside Amazon's office uh,
Oh,
that takes you to Seattle. So we're just gonna touch upon how easy it is and how difficult it is to get a job outside India.
oh,
And then yeah, other opportunities, like as we said, beyond, like the beyond world, we'll try to cover what else can we do apart from just finding a job being a software engineer, right? There are tons of
yeah.
things like entrepreneurship, SaaS
Mhm.
founders, single founder
Yeah.
companies,
Mhm. Mhm.
and tech creators,
Mhm.
tech teachers. So we'll touch upon it, how you can monetize, how you can do multiple things being a individual software engineer, right? So yeah, I think that's the agenda. Let me know if you guys have anything else. We'll start talking about once I just wrap this up. So I'll not take a whole lot of this, a whole lot of time. I just have a few slides, and then we'll open it for the questions, right? So right. So
Yeah.
what are some sounds good, right?
Yeah. Pretty good.
Awesome. So yeah, so I think first and foremost, probably you guys have already heard of it. You guys can tell me at the end, like what all you have heard about fields, and is something beyond DSA even talked about? And talked about at in the college. I'm not sure, because for us it was always like, okay, just do DSA and you'll get a job. See.
Agree.
Sure. So yeah, the
Mhm.
first is like the data science and data engineering, like with the ML kind of evolving at the pace that we see it is, right? And then every company wants to just have that AI tag, right?
Mhm.
The dot
Yeah.
AI, the dot AI buzz. This field is just gonna blow up a lot more than what it has already. I have
Mhm.
worked as sort of a data engineer at multiple times, like creating these
Mhm.
data pipelines that power the analytics of any company, basically the decisions they take, right? So it's all based on data, like did I make 10,000 crores of sales yesterday? What happened to my sales today, right? I'll try to figure out like why did the sales drop and all based on the data that I'm getting. So that's data engineering for you. Like like there will be engineers who's taking that application data, like what's going on, how many sales, and they'll analyze. Basically the analytics people will analyze the data, but like there is a pipeline going on from this application to a warehouse sort of, where the whole big data thing, like you would have heard of big data, right? Like big data is nothing but terabytes and terabytes of data that's coming in, and then you analyze it, right? To take business decisions. Like, so that's how business operates, right? Like every, like Amazon, there was a thing like, okay, every decision should be data driven. So no company wants to make a decision without data, right? So that's data engineering. A person who will go in, see what data is required, get the sources, get the sync ready. Like he'll put in all the data at certain places, and then data analytics people can make sense out of it. So there is raw data, then you basically modify it and things like that, right? Next is DevOps, SRE, and cloud engineer. There are many terms which are floating around. Basically, what is DevOps, DevSecOps, uh, MLOps, SRE, site reliability engineering, cloud engineering? What does it all mean, right? Like, so as a developer, somebody writes code, right? And they then have this Docker image, or you can say a binary ready, right? Now, how do we kind of ship this binary to production? When I say production, it will usually mean a place, a machine which runs continuously, right? Like a machine which will run this code continuously. Our laptops will shut down, right? Like, so like, how will the request be served 24 hours? So like, there is a machine that runs 24 hours. As your laptops fail, those machines will fail, right? So somebody has to make sure that those machines and the setup overall, the communication, how different machines are communicating, that's called network engineering, right? All those things work as expected. So that's more around DevOps, right? We'll talk about the requirements of getting a DevOps job, but it's very, very critical function of an organization, and it pays a lot, and there are a lot of remote opportunities basically, right? So the DevOps part right now still is very, very relevant. There are tons and tons of open source projects that you can contribute to and get jobs there. I think a lot of folks do talk about it, but not a lot. You'll see mostly people talking about DSA and stuff, but the more senior you get, you realize that this field is as relevant as any other, and you don't need like a lot of DSA knowledge here, but definitely you need cloud knowledge, like okay, how different AWS services work, so how different GCP services, Azure services, how they come together. There are lots of networking database services that power the websites. Backend engineer, pretty straightforward. I think most of us initially go to this field who come from decent colleges, I guess, like because those are like those people are taught like, okay, this is the DSA course, like Google, all these companies come to your college, right? And then they'll ask some DSA problems and stuff. And then backend engineering is more about how you manipulate data, how you store data efficiently, how you expose APIs, and how you make those APIs fast, right? So it'll involve databases and stuff like that. We'll talk about it a little more. Front-end engineering, some people out of certain interest goes into this field that, okay, I have a visual feedback that I'm getting every time I write some code. So that makes it interesting. So earlier, the front-end development used to be very simple, like there will be some JS, HTML, and CSS with all these different reactive frameworks and reactive front ends. Made it very interesting. You don't have to open another page every time. You kind of get everything on the single page. That's called single page applications like SPAs or something, if you have heard of. So those led to this role being very critical for companies. I think Facebook started React. There was Angular back Google, and then a lot of these frameworks getting started building, and then we have a lot of front end jobs now. So yeah, full stack is more of a combination of multiple things. So like it can be backend, front end, and DevOps, and sometimes like at a senior level, you'll probably be doing all of these. So it kind of blurs the boundaries when you get pretty senior. But yeah, I think initially starting out, I would suggest focusing on one or two things. Like a full stack engineer is decent enough, or a DevOps engineer is decent enough, and then you get to switch fields and do multiple things. Like so, in a startup, you get that leverage basically. Yeah, you learn like tons of stuff, and then you're doing mostly everything. So networking is hard. Like it looks easy on the book, but it's pretty hard. Databases, like getting the data right, storage right, retrievals right, it's tricky, right? So all of these things are all of these jobs are there. So data analytics, machine learning engineer, so ML engineers are right now very much in demand. But the GPTs or the Anthropics, I'm not sure if you ever heard of. And then multiple open source models. Probably you guys are using Hugging Face or something for using those open source models. A lot of you guys probably. I know it's a buzz field, and everybody would probably want to build out a certain application using those Hugging Face models or open source models, right? So like we at our company also do use a lot of GPT APIs. Model hosting and all is pretty lean right now, and as far as I know, the whole industry is using APIs of these models. Like they're not hosting them themselves. So there is a need for machine learning engineer to tune these models, like change things and then make it relevant for their industry. But lot of these things get done in very few companies, like OpenAI, Meta, like Llama 3 or something you would have heard of recently. Llama 1, Llama 2, Llama 3, Claude, Opus, Claude Sonnet. So these models, popular models, LLMs, are generally used across right? Okay. So next, DSA with dev, as the meme suggests, right? So kind of, you need DSA, but in a real job, like what gets you a promotion is much beyond DSA. For an entry level or a fresh grad perspective, DSA is pretty important, I would say. But for 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 seniors, I think, like once you get like 1 or 2 years of experience, you'll be asked like ton of different things and not just DSA. But important thing is, never forget that DSA is the one that gets you money, right? Like so so never forget DSA. Like I didn't used to like much of DSA, honestly. Like I used to like to build things, right? Like okay, I'm building something that scales well, that serves the customers well, that never breaks, right? And most of the time, the level of optimization of using different data structures, it's not that much required unless you are working in some high core system like Google search, probably, right? You have to get that result in very quick minutes or seconds, right? And there are teams that work on very high algorithmic stuff, the HFTs and all, right? Like probably you guys know it more than me also. Some companies which require different kinds of these skills, right? For some companies, if you can write that algorithm, right, it's their bread and butter. Like if you can write that most optimized algorithm that can take decisions in seconds, right, that's just the most important thing for them. So if you are targeting those kind of companies, you should just do competitive programming like anything, right? But if you like to build things more and more with a minimal DSA, kind of DSA, you will be good enough. Like people want you to have problem solving skills, but they won't like be crazy about you if you just have those skills, right? So but there are a lot of opportunities which will like only judge you on your problem solving skills, which has just DSA. But try to do some projects which kind of develops your development skills as well. And never forget this DSA. Basically, it's gonna help you forever. Even if AI comes, the people are still asking, and I still take interviews. I have taken probably 500, 600 interviews in my corporate life, right? More than that, even, like I used to work with these platforms, Bar Razor, Carrot, and all. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of, but I have taken more than 500, 600 interviews, and there has never been an interview loop, like the process, which didn't involve like problem solving interview. So it was always there. And for big fang and all, it has always been there. So there are other rounds that will check your other knowledge, but it's gonna be always there. Cool. So what are the skills required? I think backend may the trending languages still are probably JavaScript, Node.js backend basically, and then Golang and Java. Rust is picking up a bit, but not that much, right? So in terms of problem solving skills, like you have to master this data structures and algorithms. Like don't forget it, because whenever you're writing an API, you kind of in between get this data structure and algorithm thing, where you have to sometimes implement like a tree. Like I have worked with some certain code bases where we had to do IP matching or something based on prefixes. So we used to use a NRE tree or something to like go to the right path and things like that. And many other times, like customer support flow workflows use trees a lot. So you will be requiring those data structures. As far as my personal experience goes, it depends on the team. Like a recent thing in our company, a team implemented a try kind of structure to do autocomplete. So so we kind of solve these problems of autocomplete, but those are actually used at times. So that's when we actually use the try to implement this autocomplete feature of ours. So in databases, I think MongoDB is pretty popular for beginners and Postgres. Cassandra and DynamoDB are there, but not like a lot. So these will be some amazing skills to have on your resume. Like as far as the percentage of, I don't have the graphs and all, but the major percentage of companies still use these databases. And if you have this in your resume, it just kind of gets picked pretty quickly and then gets you better job. Like you already have some experience, right? So startups kind of value that a lot these days. Like they want somebody who has experience with their tech stack a bit, right? And they kind of pick folks very quickly. And then startups pay a lot as well. I know there is a thing that where people feel that startups don't pay that well. There are amazing startups which will pay you like more than Fang and all. So these skills are really really important in those terms. Right, and then front end React, Angular, and Vue is what I see the industry pattern. Maybe Flutter and all are picking up a bit, but again, I'm not a front end dev, so might not be able to give you a lot of insights there. But I work with front end devs a lot, so that's what I generally see. Right, and then JavaScript basics, CSS and HTML never goes away. So there are multiple libraries on top, like CSS, Bootstrap, what is that, React Bootstrap, Material UI, and things like that. People interested in front end would probably know. But yeah, REST APIs and JSON is pretty common. Like understanding operating systems is pretty common. Like you'll be asked questions around it, right? Data engineering again might not be for beginners, but there has like a lot of SQL involved. There is Spark involved. These are the tech words. I'm not sure. I have worked with most of them, so I had just put them here. Like it's important, but it might not be like very easy to pick up. There are a lot of things that goes in. You have to learn things like Kafka, Redis, and all. So I have not put that probably here, but like things like Kafka, Redis, and all, if you use those technologies a bit here and there, those guys will help you a lot. Like Postgres, Redis, Kafka, these are like some words if you have, right? Like, and you know a little bit also,
Mhm.
people would appreciate that. I'm just doing a time check. Okay. So yeah, I think data analytics and I think DevOps I already talked about. Learn basics of system design as a beginner. It's not required to just know everything about system design. ML, yeah, learn about model evaluation techniques, tuning techniques, and hosting techniques. And then Python, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and MLOps a bit you can learn. Okay, so platforms, I think you guys are smart enough to just Google around the platform you need to find the job, and smart enough to network with people, the right people, right? Talk to a lot of industry folks, see what they're doing, right? See what the CEOs, CTOs are doing, kind of offer help, kind of offer like, okay, I can get in, I can help you with this. I kind of myself also have some things that I look for people building certain websites and startups. So yeah, I'll maybe share you guys my LinkedIn. You can drop in your resume for internships and all. But yeah, like so, just network with people. Many people are trying to build things on side on the main. They are looking for folks who can pitch in from college itself, right? You don't need to do it full time. In college I think we all have a lot of time, so just optimize for that and then just get some industry experience, because people when they get real customers they face real issues, teaches you a lot. But these are some platforms I could see, like there are remote jobs and there are flexible jobs and stuff that you can find on all these platforms. So yeah, LinkedIn, Insta Hire, Well Found, Naukri is still pretty decent in terms of finding jobs. There are Insta Job, all of these platforms. Just wanted to put it up here. But yeah, I think feel free to look around and see others as well. So yeah, for me, I think I was able to crack interviews for most of the companies that probably I wanted to, but not very early. I because I never wanted to do DSA, but I wanted to go out. So I just did a DSA for some time, and then it was easy for me to like just get Google, Amazon, and kind of offers, right? And then so some things that worked for me was more like more coding, less watching videos about coding, and learning and the patterns behind these coding problems. I think you guys all know, like just randomly solving problems takes a lot of time. And then these companies have certain set of things they want to test you on. They don't want that competitive coding skills all the time, right? They'll not ask you a lot of hard questions. So like just get those coding problem patterns understood, and then just crack those interviews. Don't just do a lot of heavy work of kind of going through all that pain if you don't like it. I'm just again saying, like, if you like it, just do it all by all means. It helps with that code forces rank or something. Code forces, if you're a candidate master or something at code forces, expert at code, it helps, but it's not really important. You guys have a tag, right? ID tag itself will get you the interview. So you just have to do the rest of the part, right? Like, so don't get too absorbed into that competitive programming. It's okay, like, just get that basics of coding and problem solving set, and learn the basics of DSA and algorithms, just the basic data structures. Like, that'll be enough. So yeah, I think apart from that, you can, like, build projects. It'll get you a lot of software consulting, freelance high paying gigs, and long term clients, basically, right? You don't need to even get into a job, right? Like, so I sometimes get clients which are ready to pay like anything just to get that thing built for them. So it's like, once you build that repo with your by delivering something, it makes it easier. So yeah, I think and then most of the recruiter inbound leads that I got for jobs were mostly through LinkedIn and GitHub. So try to optimize both of these, is what my read is. Twitter also helps, I think. There are a lot of tech folks on Twitter. Just try to network with them a little bit here and there. Try to post some relevant things that you learned or did. Popular repos, kind of, if you can build some useful wrapper, some compilations, some interesting projects, things like that, which others are using, basically, right? So that kind of gets you a lot of visibility from recruiters. And then LinkedIn also, like, I think if you have decent network, you kind of posting about your expertise or your wins, so it helps, right? So, and then all I got a lot of opportunities just by posting on LinkedIn about what I'm doing, what I'm learning, and then helping people around, right? So that kind of helps. So, like, Europe and Canada and all, and Australia also, it's easy. I'm not sure who all are looking, but just whoever is looking for outside India opportunities, it's a pretty easy to get visa and all there, even as a fresh grad. But, like, for US, mostly it requires that you get into the company, spend an year, and then only you'll be able to go to that US office of theirs. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions that you have later. So salaries, I think you can find out. I just included these components. I didn't want to, but, like, it's like, it's important, right? Like, you just can't be applying to some random companies, and then those guys are not paying the worth your time, right? It just is a waste. Do your own research. There are a lot of lead code compensation sections which are pretty interesting, which give you a lot of insights on the breakage of the CTC and all. I know a lot of companies
Mhm.
try to fool around by offering some
Yes.
random CTCs. So just do
Mhm.
your own research, see what the breakup is. Try to see if you want to get to this company also only, or you want to apply for multiple roles. So people just the companies kind of inflate their CTCs to just get you in, right? And then do your own research. And then these two platforms, I feel, are most legit right now. Glassdoor
Mhm.
and all salaries are vague. So levels.fyi and lead code compensation section are pretty good. So just do your research in these two platforms. Multiple companies, I think people have covered. I'll try to link this. There was a very good lead code discuss section article which talked about fresher salaries at all the different product companies. So that was pretty helpful, I think, for freshers, like what really is the compensation that is offered in the market, and what you are offered. And if you're offered less, you should try for others. Like, when I was there, I was not sure, like, what is the right money that I should get, right? So kind of important. But yeah, check what the yearly stocks are and stuff like that, where the company is going. I left company called Zscaler, which I started my career with, but the stock was kind of worth a lot, and then I didn't know about it. So just
Yeah.
don't go for that cash
Yeah.
component at companies, but try to see around how other components are looking, where the company is going. Can the stocks be valued at 100x or
Mhm.
something? Sometimes companies go 100x, so that can make you rich. Like, you
Yeah.
so just make sure you see all that. So yeah, I think this again is one thing I just wanted to highlight. Like if you really want to get that tag and you don't want to get into a startup or something, so like the basic skills I think we already talked about, but uh, it's just more about data structures and algorithms rather than startups. So startups will have a little lesser kind of intensity towards DS and algo, but farm companies will have more, and they'll ask you some operating system networking and databases concepts, because those are the important subjects if you will have to pick from the subjects that you guys are taught, right? So these are pretty important subjects that you will be asked in backend and sort of roles. Maybe for ML roles, applied scientist roles, and all these, there are different skill sets that are required, which probably you're taught in your courses. So yeah, problem solving skills, I think I would just say stick to lead code if you want to crack interviews. uh, and those are some other platforms, but yeah, like it's important to just stick to one platform rather than shuffling platforms, because at times you're solving similar problems and then you're just juggling platforms, right? So it's important to stick to one platform and then just do the kind of all the different kind of problems that it has, so that you get to solve those variety more. And I like the interface. It's pretty easy. The community is pretty huge around the people who are trying to solve those problems, right? So it makes it amazingly easy. Okay. So next is just after years of experience, I realized that like don't run after that dream company, but rather run after your dream work or something. If you can identify it, I know it takes time to identify that dream work, right? And it's easy to just go after that free food and lunch. Uh, uh, so kind of if you can figure out that. I get everything in my office for free. I'm not saying
Mhm.
you should not ask for it, but I'm just saying that
Mhm.
just try to see, because when you get to work on things you like, right? It's just the career path, the career growth will be pretty amazing. I have a person sitting beside me who worked in the same company for 8 years now, the startup
Mhm.
that I work with, and he
Mhm.
he has worked on pretty much everything that I can think of, right? Uh, like he has made the
Okay.
company from scratch. Like he was the first developer
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
So it's like that. Those stories are there, like who stick to one place. In a startup, they start out like they have tons of stocks. They are building like everything from scratch. So those learnings are just invaluable. Probably in a
Mhm.
farm type company or a bigger company, you'll not get to work on those initial basic things, that, and then probably you'll land up in a tool team or team which does not even see any scale. So
Mhm.
that might hamper your learning a bit. So see for yourself. If there is an amazing team in a big company, I'm saying go for it. But
Mhm.
just try to see if you like the work. A small company is not all that bad. Okay. So the thing is, like, okay, jobs are there, but jobs are still jobs, right? Like,
I agree.
so there are a lot of entrepreneurs, like from your college, my college, or the other colleges, right? Who earn like annual salary in a day, like our annual
Yeah.
salary, like, and then I have some relatives. My wife works as a freelancer, sort of, and then so like a lot of people I see, right? The more and more I see, like those people kind of earn the annual salary of job doing people in a month or a day. At times the day is pretty
Yep.
crazy, but in a month I have seen pretty normal, right? uh,
Mhm.
so that's why it's important, basically, right? Like so like there are multiple things. Like I know there are a lot of jokes about these
Yeah.
course sellers and all, right? But those guys, if I'm not sure how many of you follow Zach Wilson.
Mhm.
He's an influencer on LinkedIn, and he's ex Airbnb, ex Netflix. So
Uh-huh.
he posted his earnings today, and it was like till like last month or this month or so, like till 2024 starting, say till now,
Mhm.
he has gotten some 500K USD sort of earnings, which is like 4 or 5 CR around, right? In just 4 months. So So yeah, that's the power of doing something of your own. Like it's easy to just call out folks on who are doing things like that, but kind of it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So it's teaching as a software engineer is one profession where you learn, you share your learnings, and you shape the future of next set of software engineers, right? And then as a fresher or as a fresh grad also, you can, right? Like, so let's say if you have learned DSA well, you can probably start teaching other people on how you can do well as DSA, and then there is no problem monetizing it as well, right? So
Yeah.
there are tech content creators, like they debunk new tech, like, okay, will this tech survive, how this works and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
those are other professions. There are professions like freelancer, like you'll be building projects for the clients. um, you have to just share your platform, or you share the things that you build, share your learnings on the platforms like Twitter, which can like get you potential customers, right? So like you can build a website, let's say, I don't know, like some AI tools website. This is pretty common these days, or a new tool that you create that edits videos using AI, right? Something like that, and then you sell it to your customers. So you as a software engineer have that power to just build your single person freelance company. You can do projects on Fiverr, Upwork, and all, and then you can find projects on LinkedIn as well. Like a lot of people are looking for people, and they kind of put these opportunities, freelance opportunities, on platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and others as well. So yeah, and then just some SaaS company, single person ventures. A lot of folks I see kind of build these small companies and sell it, like a small website which has some decent traffic. Like even weather apps. Like now there are tons of weather apps, but even a small weather app, or arithmetic uh, problem solving app, or a DSA visual app, and things like that, right? Teaching websites, blogging websites. So all of these are different ventures people do as a software engineer. And then you can do your own open source projects, like let's say a metric exporter, and then you have to kind of get into it. But like DevOps, there is Kubernetes K around, people create plugins. There are metrics things like Prometheus, and all of these are open source projects. You can build small projects like that, and you get sponsors for that as well.
Mhm.
And I think I see a lot of college students becoming content creators as well. So I see that's amazing, right? Like there is no harm in doing that. Like you're just
Mhm.
sharing what you're learning, right? And then people would kind of follow you. You can earn advertising revenue, like people would want to promote and things like that, right? So yeah, okay, I think just sharing my social creds. Like I do post on LinkedIn sometimes
Mhm.
around software engineering and stuff, like getting jobs and
Mhm.
resources and all. But Twitter, I'm not that active. So like I kind of sometimes do, but sometimes don't. Okay, comes to the end.
Mhm.
Questions. So yeah, I
Yeah.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, nothing. But just saying like, okay, I hope it was useful, and happy to answer any questions you
Yeah,
have.
it was amazing. As about the salary, as a fresher, no one is know about how much they should ask, and most of the time they pay and underpay you. So there's amazing things and comparison between the developer and the learning the DSA. Most of the time, students are frustrated. What should I choose? Because most of the companies asking a DSA. So what would I do with the development part? So we'll start with the questions. There's a question from Subhadeep. She's asking, I guess, can I get into the main companies from an electronic background?
For sure, for sure. Just do me a favor at when you're while you're applying, right?
Yeah.
Don't put electronics while you're put IIT Madras electronics, right? Yeah. So just I have gotten resumes at times. Like I do a lot of shortlisting for my teams and all. So from that manager perspective, and when people try to hire folks, right? When
Mm-hmm.
we are shortlisting, if you just are saying that I have expertise in this, I have created these three projects. Like I kind of share at times like what kind of projects are more relevant than others, right? Uh, so the projects kind of which everybody is building are good enough, right? Like so just one thing there, just do DSA. But DSA only will not help you in shortlisting. So like kind of put your ranks, right? So as a junior engineer, what we should do is, like, so when I was even applying, like I was always doing this, like kind of put your whatever ranks you have, how many questions you have solved, what kind of expertise did you get out of that, right? And how you can contribute to the company. So it's always about, like, as a company, right? I don't used to understand this while I was a junior engineer, but as a company, what do I want? Do I really care about where you come from? I just care about whether you can add value and, like, get me more money and more customers, right? Can you build this feature that I really want in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
I don't really care. I don't really care. Uh, uh, like, whether you are from electronics, or I have an engineer sitting next to me who has done BCA from some IP university.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, and he's paid like amazing, and then he has the skills, just the skills. And then you guys have a IIT Madras tag, right? Just don't write electronics beside it, and say that computer science proficiency, DSA algorithms, learn about operating systems a bit, learn about multi-threading a bit, learn about databases a bit. So databases are important, and learn about some type of web development if you want to get in there. There are tons of other fields, but the most jobs that are still there are in web development. Kind of people want to build apps or websites. So if you are going for a backend engineer, doesn't matter what's going on the app or the front end. You just need to learn about how to create those APIs that can fetch the data from the database and send it out, right? So that's what I really want when I'm hiring a backend engineer, that he understands how a good API looks like, and how a system is built which doesn't break, right? So, like, just kind of develop those skills, and doesn't matter, like, anything doesn't matter, like whether the field background, like, just doesn't matter. Don't don't just tell it yourself. Just try to create a resume which just showcases your computer science skills, and only computer science skills. Like, don't talk about your hobbies and stuff and all that. Like, I just want to see how good you are at creating programs. So yeah, I think that would do it.
So we'll go on to the second questions. So I'm finding it difficult to get a software engineer role as a fresher. What should I do differently, and what kind of company would want a fresher?
Okay. So first thing is, you can remove the fresher tag from yourself by doing and building projects. Projects, again, I know a lot of people talk project, but, like,
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
is a project, right? Uh,
Mhm.
so kind of build some things that you can, like, there is a lot of platforms like Netlify, Vercel, Heroku.
Mhm.
Use some AWS student creds, use some GCP student creds and all, right? And host your website. Just create a small thing website, which I don't know, like, probably exposes a calculator, but when I search on Google, when I type your website name, it just shows up, right? But
Mhm.
that's probably not going to be sufficient, since I am looking for something more. But it'll
Yeah.
give you some exposure around how do I kind of wrap that application, how do I kind of build that application. You can write your expertise, like, okay, I packed this
Mhm.
application up, I did a Docker, I wrote a Docker file for this, I wrote the whole like, how does the application start, how does the application scale. So there are multiple things, I know, like, I might be talking more, but just get into that, like, just build some things which ship properly, and then deploy it on AWS, let's say. Use S3, use those things in your resume, right? Takes the fresher tag away, actually. Like, so fresher tag
Yeah.
is like when you just have done DSA in something, right? But when you actually know how to deploy a website, like, I host my web static assets, like JS, HTML, CSS on S3, then I expose it via CDN or something. Like, so just try to follow some tutorial how I can create a small website and deploy it, then try to enhance that website with other features. Let's say I want to create a gym application, right? Like, I'll host put some videos, like gym training videos, download it from YouTube, doesn't matter, right? And then how do you kind of upload those videos? How do you kind of encode those, compress those videos? So you learn a lot of different things. Maybe I can collect some project ideas from backend specific as well, but those are some things which you'll need. Like, how do I store those videos now? Like, databases are not well equipped, so you'll store those in object storages, you'll cache those on CDNs, how Netflix does it, right? Small projects like probably like a database schema designing for movies and all. It's not that bad a project actually,
Mm-hmm.
if you do it completely. If I can see your project somewhere, right? So let's say we do ask questions like, you create a tool for let's say LinkedIn post, like, so from that tool I can post on LinkedIn, Twitter, and stuff like that. So if I identify some areas, like anything, any problem, like I want to book, like, so vaccine, there was a vaccine scheduler that I built out of just curiosity, but that was a real problem solving tool, right? Like at that time it was very difficult, in the COVID time it was very difficult to get vaccine appointments, and then people used Twitch and all these tools to just send a message whenever there is a vaccine slot available. So just identify those kind of problems. Like Gen AI, probably right now there is like lots of
Yeah.
so build some Gen AI project, right? Use an LLM. I think Hugging Face has a lot of open source models as well, and then there is free tier available for other models as well. Just use those APIs, like pass in a data, get that output, because when you pass in a data, it will give you some structured output. If so, you can use, like we use at our company, we
Mm-hmm.
create quizzes out of the raw data. Like, so you
Mm-hmm.
pass in a text, like, okay, create a quiz for
Mm-hmm.
on this topic, like 10 questions from this text blob. So it will return you that. So like a lot of automations can be built. Just put those in your resume. It will definitely help. Plus, it's if it's that is also not enough. I would say try reaching out to people. Just keep doing problem solving, keep doing some of these small things. I hope you'll have a lot of different small projects that you can keep building and keep applying. Like, so once you basically create some sort of network, right? Like keep posting. First of all, like start talking to people. uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just friendly message around, I'm looking for opportunities, do you have any relevant role, I have expertise in this. So that's where, as a fresher, it helps. I'm not just looking for DSA skills, but more. Like, you can solve a problem using those DSA algorithms, but you can do more around front end or back end, right? You can write my back end application. You can even have a small summary about what you can do and keep sending it to people. Being more proactive actually helps a lot. Passively, if you just keep doing projects, again, it's of no help, right?
Yeah.
So just try to network with people. Try to ping them with your summary of knowledge, your projects that you have built, and I think it will definitely help a lot. And also, just if it's getting a little difficult, just get a job. Don't look for that highest package or anything at that time. Experience, if you get 1 year of experience, right, then it changes, like it flips. So now you can ask for a lot of money because you now have a experience in your resume plus the skills that you have built over time, right? Find a smaller company which offers you more learning opportunities, right? So kind of do a negotiation with yourself, that okay, for now I'm just gonna start out, and I'll just take it whatever I'm getting and learn on the job.
Yeah, sounds really good. So the conclude is like how we can build a project and how we can showcase. So yeah, that's amazing. So we have another questions. What should we mention in our resume apart from our qualification? Because I'm not getting any reply from companies after applying in 100 companies. What should I do get my portfolio selected, at least get into the interview or technical round? So I think this is also a problem for most of the student.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so how bad are the placements right now? I'm just getting like, so why are you not getting companies in your college? Like, what is happening there?
So I don't know, but as I'm seeing it, market is currently so bad because of the recessions. So
Mm-hmm,
maybe that's a reason, or
mm-hmm,
yeah, or maybe most of the time after the recessions, they are mostly hiring for the experienced one. So
mm-hmm.
maybe that's another reason they are not looking for the fresher. But not sure what's going
Hi,
in the
Noman.
behind that. But yeah,
Okay.
Can we answer that question as well?
yeah, go on,
Good evening,
yeah.
sir. So I'm Sundaresh Karthik from the Student Placement Council of IIT Madras Based Degree Program. The placements are good. We are yet to release the placement starts to the public. So I think he's talking about the external placements that he applied for.
Oh, okay.
The placements
Okay.
are pretty good for our college right now. We are yet to release the final placement report because the placement drive is a year-long process in our college.
Got it. Got it. No,
Thank you.
makes sense. That's what I was just trying to understand. Like IIT students are not getting placed, then
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and then others are in big trouble, bro. No, no, cool. I think if you are applying offline, I think it changes a lot. Because the resume just doesn't get to the recruiter directly, right? So if you're applying on hundreds of companies, probably I would say stop applying from that mechanism. Like the mechanism needs to change here, right? Like I think a decent resume would where you would have like good problem solving skills, a decent number of questions solved, or a decent rank, or some sort of projects on your resume, the coursework, right? Like the course that you went through and cleared, right? That also should help you. At least in getting that resume shortlisted. So I would say like try to reach out to the recruiters directly, like mention about the place you are working, so you're studying, what you have studied, what are the skills that you have, and try to find the roles and try to just reach out to the recruiters directly. Because even if you reach out to employees of the company, right, it sometimes it's difficult because those guys, it's not their main job. They tend to have other tons of things they have to do, and they might forget. But recruiters, it's their job.
Yeah.
So they kind of try to see if you have a potential, they'll definitely be referring or like starting the process for you. So reach out to the recruiter with the kind of message that you want to put in, that okay, I have these kind of skills, I have done these problems, and then kind of reach directly. Portals, I know it's ATS and all those things that come into the picture, where recruiters don't find the words they need, right? So I tend to sit with our company's recruiter at times, like okay, what do you guys look for in a resume? What do you guys how do you guys shortlist? So those kind of processes, I think sometimes from the applications that they directly get from portals and all, it sometimes it's difficult. So try to send a message. So one interesting thing happened recently, right? So our company's platform, right, the website that it looked like, a front-end engineer, what he did was he created the whole portfolio in the website's layout. So the website layout that was there, he created the same theme he used to create his own resume. So and he sent us that link, that okay, see what I have done, and then he just sent us the link of that website that he created, looking very similar to ours, and then mentioned his whole resume there. So that kind of got the attention. I know it's difficult and it's time consuming to do that kind of
Yeah.
for a certain company, but just that sometimes if you really like the company, you kind of have to get out of the way to do that. But kind of innovative skills, you guys are smart enough, right? Like just find out a way to please that recruiter to just get into that role, like, and once you get that role, nothing matters, right? So just try to send out a message that okay, I'm really capable. What sets me apart, I have done these different kind of projects, like okay, I have done network heavy projects, I have done memory heavy projects, things like that. Like it's very difficult to just get those right. So like if you store tons of data, if you process a lot of requests, so all those kind of things help you get that resume shortlisted. Also read the JD very properly. Like if you're just randomly applying with the same resume with a different JDs, right? It's not going to get shortlisted. If you have a backend heavy resume and you're applying for a JD which is front end, you're not going to get that response. Search the keywords in the JD, like what they're looking for, and try to put those keywords in your resume. I'm definitely sure that even the scanning systems will pick it up because the keywords kind of match. So JD, read the JD properly, and try to reach out to the recruiter that okay, I have the experiences and the things which are mentioned in the JD, and these are the projects which led me to learn those skills that are present in the JD. So kind of the message that you put in varies a lot, and then just randomly don't apply from LinkedIn. Like there are, if you see that 10,000 applicants for the job and stuff like that, so it's just gonna go away. So job description, okay, I think somebody's asking JD. The job description that you see, right? So the whole thing, read it very, very carefully. Like how I prepare for interviews is I read the JD first, then backtrack from there. Like, okay, these guys need this. I have 3 months. I'll like, if I have to. Now that I'm senior enough, it's easier. But if I have to, like, I'll just read the JD properly and then go from there. Okay, these guys need Golang skills. I'll just brush up on my Golang skills for half a month. These guys needs AWS. Like, I'll just brush up on my AWS skills. So like, just read those, brush up, maybe do some small project or something. Otherwise, at least mention that I'm proficient in doing this and that. So yeah, I think that should help a lot.
Cool. So another question we have, which language is the most preferred for starting BSA? And how many months and time on a day-to-day basis to crack an internship in FANG?
Okay. Again, varies a lot for different folks. Like, I have seen crazy people who just do it in a month, right? Or 6 months, right? Like, month is like very like 2 to 3 months at times, then 6 months for certain people, and an year for certain others, right? So it again depends on the intensity you are ready to put into it, right? And then the type of company, or again, FANG is very big, right? Like, FANG level companies are very big. So it's more about the kind of way you are using to study those things. So as I said, lead code is more than enough. Like, don't scroll anywhere else, don't go anywhere else. Just learn the concepts. These guys have some data structures slides, then these guys have some algorithm slides. Lead code itself, right? I think there is one popular guy, Raj Vikramaditya, I think, Striver, right? He has a good decent playlist, I think. He has some website called Take You Forward or something. He has some decent playlist. Otherwise, a lot of these people who are teaching algorithm, right? Algorithms and DSA. Uh, Meaning, like, what would you like learn from somebody else, right? I don't understand much, but you have to just do the coding, right, yourself. So if you start lead code, right, there are tons of discussions that are going on. I understand if you have some doubts, then definitely, like, okay, why this problem couldn't be solved in this way, like JEE preparation and all, right, you guys have done, right? So you're solving a certain problem, right? Like, and then you have some doubts that you're not able to go through that, like, phase, and then the next is the solution, right? So you are solving something and then you're stuck at some place, then you probably need some help there. That's okay. But like, just don't binge watch videos and all. First, like, try to solve the problems, and then you don't need to do a lot, actually. Just medium level problems are like more than enough for 98 or 99% of companies, like.
Oh,
So like, it's crazy how people think that hard problems are required, but ultimately they just don't. People don't have that kind of problems to solve. Like, companies should have those kind of problems to solve, that they need hard skills, right? Like,
yeah.
so people are solving simple problems. Like, maybe
Mm,
some few, very few companies are solving trickier or difficult problems than those. The 99% or 98% are just solving normal problems, which are like, even the medium problem skills you will not be able to use in the industry. Let me tell you that. But that's that's again a different thing. But you'll mostly find libraries and things like that for everything. But like, talking about interviews, even in interviews, like, hard problems are like generally shied away from at most of the places. Certain times you might get some hard problems, but that's again, like, it's more about, it's a common type of problem, sort of. It's not going to be a new problem. And again, there are ways to solve hard problems. You break down the problem, right? You solve subparts and then you kind of build the bigger problem solution, right? So that's where you'll basically be able to get into these farm companies, right? Meta, I think initially they used to ask a lot of hard problems, and then
mm,
that timer of 45 minutes and something. But then again, they also most of the times are asking medium problems and stuff. Right now, I think the market is little competitive, so
yeah.
they kind of take the leverage of asking a little harder problems. But still, I would say, like, most of the companies would generally stick to medium level or medium hard max. Like, proper hard problems are like really rare. So DSA, I think the question was, I think, can you share the questions again? I think there was a part where it was how many days and how many times.
How many months and times on
Okay.
a day-to-day basis?
Okay, okay. It depends on how aggressively you want it. So I would say like 3 to 4 hours in a day, and then if you have that kind of time, if you have more time, it will be obviously be quicker. There is a website called Grind 75 or something.
Yeah, it's gonna help.
Maybe I can open that actually. Just give me one moment. It's very interesting actually, very relevant
Mhm,
to the uh, problem we are talking. So yeah, okay. This website actually is very interesting. So
mhm,
this you have, like, let's say you have 13 weeks and
mhm,
8 hours per week, right? You can reduce the number of hours that you have, right? And then it'll give you the problems that you must solve to get interviews, right? Very relevant actually. Like, okay, as interviews, right? Let me tell you the story from the other side as well. Like, so as
mhm.
interviews, how much time do we have to select a problem? We get like maybe 5 or 10 minutes to select a problem before we come into the interview. Right? So we are doing
Oh,
our own work. We're doing our own
yeah.
work, right? And then we just have to quickly go there and ask something. What will I ask? Like, I'll ask popular problem most of the time.
Mhm,
Like, Google itself is the only exception, I feel, where
mhm.
I felt that the questions were pretty new. Like, had at least never seen those questions. But Amazon all, and many other companies similarly, like Microsoft and all, Amazon, Uber also. So they'll kind of ask some popular problem, and that's true for most of the companies. They don't have the budget, they don't have the time to create their own problems. So what these websites do is, these guys will create a subset. So lead code has some 2200, 2300 problems, probably even more now. So you don't need to solve all those, but you can just go to platforms like this and solve all these problems. Even if you hit a hard problem, it will probably be from all of these. So if you do the whole, I think it gives you some, how many problems? Still 169 problems only, right? Like, so even if you get, so 170 problems, if you solve, or problems you solve, you'll probably be covering everything that is probably going to be asked to you. So this is a pretty nice website, I would say. You can use it according to the time you want to put in. So again, you will get rejected in some, you'll get selected in some. It's not gonna be like, just keep doing problems. Like, so if you spend 3 4 hours every day, I would say in 3 months or so, you should be decently prepared, right? You'll be decently prepared for your DSA interviews, but in 6 months you'll be even better, right? So you'll get better. So it's not a like a short thing that, okay, once I have spent 6 months every day 4 hours, I'll just
Yeah.
have crack every other interview, right? So it's same as ITJ, right? Like, you solve problems, you keep solving problems. The more problems you solve, the more you learn about it. Very similar thing basically. So that's about it, I think. It's just like, spend 3 4 hours daily, I would say. Like, at a college level, you should be able to spend 2 to 3 hours every day, create, like, solve these problems yourself.
Totally agree. Yeah. So the next question is, what kind of project did Sir build to crack his first job?
Sure. Projects. Okay. Kind of projects. Again, just, there are like tons of ideas out there. Web development is the easiest. I would probably share something, if I'll share with you folks. You can share forward, like, forward these. But
Mhm.
like, the difficulty is like, so when you're starting out, right? So first job, probably you won't be having like every, like, there are engineers working for 20 30 years in the industry,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So you can't build like project, like, there are technologies, right? Redis and Kafka, like, somebody built those as well.
Mhm.
Don't
Yep.
pick those projects directly, but a smaller version of it is very easy to build actually. So like a card game, or what else? Dice game. People build Ludo and all, like, that has concurrency issues and all. So like, multiple
Yeah.
people clicking on dice, multiple people playing. So
Mhm.
multiplayer small web games. All of these solve like give you a lot of exposure into concurrency issues, multi-threading, and then how do you store data and all. um, pick projects like creating a promises yourself, or creating what else, like like there are projects like, okay, the set timeout implementations. If you can implement some interesting functions, implementing some interesting functionality of the languages. Let's say this there is a library of strings in Java. So all those things also you can do, like write those wrappers on top of it, expose it. But then again, I might be talking out of experience that I have had. So as a fresher, it might be very difficult at times to build those kind of projects. But web projects are pretty easier, is what I would say. Like a booking platform or a payment platform. Try to expose some 4 or 5 APIs, like click pay, and then try to expose those APIs and make a payment. Let's say deduct 500 from them, things like that. So the account balance should get reflected, changed. Create a small banking app, like just create a banking app where people can add money, deduct money, and stuff like that. Multiple of ideas. I know, matlab, there is weather app and all that, but that's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
clones, Netflix clones, Twitter clones, and all. But I would still say, like, do something different. Because and also, like, don't do just front end.
Yeah.
Just front end projects. Like, if you're building, that might not help you a lot. So again, there are projects like where, like, WebSocket, like chat apps and stuff. So you kind of learn some new things and you write those things basically, right? Like, I learned how WebSockets work. I created a chat application. So it's not bad. Like, I know a lot of people create chat applications, but it's not bad at all. Like, you create a chat application, you write about it, you expose some, you fetch some data from public APIs, let's say, stored that data. So it's called web crawling. Let's say if you do web crawling, if you call APIs, get that data, store that data. So explain that process, that okay, I fetched the data, store that data, and I created an app out of it. So let's say I created an Bollywood actresses database, and then people can see who are the different actresses, which movies they did, IMDb kind of stuff. So all those are interesting things to build. Like, you get the data from IMDb APIs or some public APIs, you store it, you write APIs on top. How did you increase the like decrease the latency? How did you optimize data storage? How did you store images? So that's the kind of projects, I think, what companies are building as well. So it's not that any project is bad. Just keep adding more and more things and try to identify new things, which are not all are doing basically. So
So yeah,
that
yeah.
should.
So yeah. So what I understand is kind of building a unique project and try to build that project which can enable your problem solving skills or learn your new things. So yeah,
And yeah, mention about what you learned in that project basically. So
yeah.
that gives me, like, when I read a resume, that gives me
Mhm.
an idea about that you have done it yourself and not copied it from somewhere else. Like, unique learnings are always very, like, in your resume, right? If you have put in, like, I learned about how S3 works, I
Mhm.
learned about how CDN works, I learned about how database schema works, how database indexing works. I created these indexes in this to speed up the calls. So the system design part of it, right? The popular thing
Yeah,
that once you get a little senior, what happens is people
yeah.
talk about platform should be very quick. So like when I click something, it should load pretty quickly. Amazon
Mhm.
recently published, I think, or sometime back published that okay,
Mhm.
each time the 7 billion in sales, right? So in one minute or something. So
Oh,
if the latency of the app increases by 1 minute, or the API increases by 1 minute, so that's how important latency and availability or fault tolerance is in a system. Like, learn to use a load balancer a bit. Talk about it. I'll be very impressed if a fresher is talking about using a load balancer. Talking about load balancer, not that much, but
yeah, yeah.
if he has actually used the LB to
Mhm.
basically split the traffic between 2 or 3 pods or nodes of an application.
Mhm.
Very impressing. Basically, it's very impressive because he
Yeah.
has actually built something. So talk about your learnings in your resume as well. There is no harm at all. Like, just say that okay, I built this project, use this tech stack, learn these things about the project.
Yeah, cool. So there's another one. Some insight with the actual example of open source project that can help me get a remote job.
Sure. So Open source projects, yeah, there are just a lot, but example, I can't like say that okay, you contribute to this project, you'll get a
Mm-hmm.
job. But there are startup like, so there are a lot of small things which people are doing, like GSOC and all, right? You guys would be aware. So GSOC may, what happens is these companies give projects based on what they actually need, and then from there they actually offer job offers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I can find out some. There are a lot of like earlier Yugabyte and all these databases, Supabase, Yugabyte, Prometheus, CNCF. The CNCF has a lot of open source projects, basically Thanos. Multiple of these projects were open source, and then people used to get hired. Basically, that is something you learn with experience, and then how much contribution you have. So sometimes the people who are contributing a lot become project owners as well. So once you are
Yeah.
a project owner, meaning you will be paid directly from that firm that is maintaining it. Linux Foundation is one which maintains a lot of open source projects. You can search Linux Foundation maintained projects. You can find Apache maintained projects. So it's
Yeah.
difficult to get onboarded. Obviously, they'll ask about like what kind of open first issues and all. I think a lot of people talk about it. There are issues, you can go to issues and try to raise a PR or solve for it. And there is a maintainers, basically, right? So like there are certain maintainers of the project. You can send you can tag those maintainers or send a message to those maintainers that okay, I have fixed this issue, can you please take a look? So that's a starting point. Again, no guarantee of jobs there. Like there is like, okay, if you raise a PR, if somebody doesn't like it, they'll close off the PR, right? It's open
Yeah.
source. uh, it's open source. It's not like you'll be respected or anything like that.
Yeah.
If the person doesn't like your contribution, they're just going to close it. But you have to try it out, and then if your PR is merged, it adds a lot of value. Somebody raised from my company raised PRs from Jupyter Notebooks. I think that is also open source. So there are like, there's just tons of projects, but you can just easily go to GitHub, right? I think even Linux is open source, right? If you
Yeah.
guys so again, it's not very easy to just, Node.js is open source, Linux is open source. I think React is open source, JavaScript itself is open source. So everything is open source. Like, so there is no example of a project here, but something that interests you, basically. So if you want to search, let's say, go into databases, you find a database project, learn about it, set it up locally, and then raise your first PR, find the issue, documentation se start kar sakte ho, like, and things like that you can start. And then once you start contributing and your contributions are valued, they'll definitely give you a remote job. I'm pretty sure. Like, there are a lot of service mesh companies. A friend of mine got a job in I forgot the name. But he used to, I think, contribute in the service mesh company. Istio is open source. There are a lot of DevOps. DevOps. That's why I was saying DevOps. Mein, there is a lot of tools that are open source and that are comparatively easier to start from. So yeah, I think I don't have an answer on an example, but I can share one for sure.
Yeah. So I think this is the last question, and it's from my side. Currently, I'm working as a data engineer, data ops at a KT, and we are building India's own AI. It's funded by the Ola, and Ola is managing this. So in the data engineering, if you're seeing this, there's a every day the new technologies comes. They say will reduce your cost and it increase your everything, kind of that. So how we can choose which technology to learn and which technology to stick for the future to increase your foundations, increase your understanding about the data engineering, about the scaling part, because most of the scaling is also problem if you get into the data. So some lights on it, and about the Gen AI also, because if you're seeing it, the Gen AI is gonna change how the job will work, how the people will work. So what's your thoughts on it? And how the interview will change?
Got it. Sure. So I think the interviews are not going to change a lot, is
Okay.
what I see, right? Like, because if it would
Mhm.
have changed already, like we already have
Yeah.
Copilot,
Yeah.
Codium, all
Mhm.
of these tools, right, which can write tool like ChatGPT solves most of the problems. There is
Yeah.
Claude AI, which solves a
Mhm.
lot of the problems. Like, what we are looking for in people is still the problem solving skill, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to test for it, right?
Mhm.
So if we are looking for it, we are going to test for it, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that's like, again, one thing that like how good you are using at Gen AI, like how good you are at using Gen AI, probably that's one type of interview that is going to be added in the future. But the problem solving skill, I think still you have to work on it up. Like it's not gonna go away. I'm gonna need to see like how good at you are at solving these kind of like coding problem, right? Like how good you are at coding something given the requirements that I give you. So that's not gonna go away, because you are the one at in the end who's verifying that, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
ChatGPT gave you some piece of code, and then if you
Mhm.
blindly trust it and put it in your code base, who's responsible? ChatGPT ko nahi
Yeah.
bata sakte, right?
Yeah. Agree.
So yeah, so that's not gonna change a lot. But
Mhm.
the speed of shipping and all has changed a lot for us. Like how we ship software is much faster than it was before. Like earlier, it used to take more time to build like write code in the software, but now it has improved a lot. Like because we take help from GPT and all. So coding process might be people will feel that okay, they need something more on project building and stuff. But I think still they would require you to have some good problem solving skill, because that's more about testing how smart you are at solving problems rather than software in general. So that's why that's included in your hiring process. People used to take aptitude tests, right? I think some companies still
Yeah.
do. That's how is it relevant to software, right? Not at
Yep.
all. Uh,
Agree.
but they take it because they just want to see if you have an aptitude for learning and if you have aptitude for solving, and that's the
Mhm.
only thing. And then coding problems are at least better than that. So like
Yeah.
at least it's
Somewhat.
yeah, somewhat relevant, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think not gonna change a lot as per what I see. The industry will change a bit on how they use Gen AI and all. So
Mhm.
I have already started using Gen AI a lot. Uh,
Mhm.
on the second thing, data. Not sure which tools and technologies you're using, but so it's a supplement or a spin-off of software engineering, I would say. Data engineering, I don't see much of a difference in terms of I'm still solving some problem, right? I
Mhm.
do some modifications of data like the ETL pipelines and all, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll be extracting some data, transforming some data,
Mhm.
and loading some data, right? Like so
Agree.
yeah, so there are streaming platforms like Flink and all, which have picked up a lot.
Yes.
There are static platforms like batch type of queries that people write in
Mm.
Spark. We are using
Yeah.
Airflow for automation,
Orchestration.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, some sort of orchestration of these queries and stuff. If you would say
Mhm.
those are not really Spark jobs, but some basic scripts that we have, that Python
Mhm.
scripts that run in those Airflow jobs, right?
Mhm.
Other than that, on the data side, I think I have seen there is a concept called CDC, like change data capture,
Yes. Yeah.
which is like the real time data that gets into the
Mhm.
analytics side of it.
Yeah.
Again, I would say like you can learn Spark and all has survived a lot. You can learn
Yeah.
Airflow, you can learn Flink, you can learn Python. I think
Yeah.
a lot of these scripts and all are still people writing in Python. You can learn SQL.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
all of these things are not gonna go away, right?
Yep.
So these things are going to stay, and then basic programming knowledge. Look, how do I do data modifications, and basic
Mhm.
understanding of how good data looks like. So
Mhm.
I'm not an expert data engineer, but I understand what when analytics people tell me that okay, data is not
Mhm.
good enough. So
Yeah.
how does good data look like, and how
Mhm.
can we make data better for them? How can
Mhm.
we make better tables? How can we organize
Mhm.
data better? Right, so all of
Mhm.
these things are not going to change a lot. Like maybe there is
Mhm.
a better streaming technology
Mhm.
that comes and then it scales well, it scales better than Flink. Maybe
Mhm.
there is something that does better than Airflow. There
Yeah.
are many other DBT and all, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Debezium, I think we were using for CDC. So there are multiples of these technologies, and I have spoken probably very few. There are
Okay.
tons and tons
Yeah. Yeah.
more as well. I keep scrolling, and then Azure has solutions, and then Redshift and all for big data storage. Amazon,
Yeah. Databricks, Snowflake.
yeah,
The
yeah,
list
correct.
is
Correct.
goes
Snowflake
on.
is
Yeah.
Snowflake is a big player there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there are tons of like cloud providers also. I forget these names, but cloud
Yeah.
providers also have managed Kinesis, Flink,
Yes.
all these
Mhm.
solutions. So yeah, I think it's just generally more about the principles, and then you learn whatever is required for your resume. Maybe you can write those 3 things, 4 things you have worked on. I get a lot of jobs because I worked on Flink, so I think there
Oh,
is demand. There is
so
demand.
I
So,
have to explore the thing.
okay, sure. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's not more about, it's more about like you know the data engineering in general a bit more.
Mhm.
Some tools around it, but the tools will keep changing. I think it's not going to
Yeah.
stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I understand at your positions, getting time and managing a time to come this sessions is, thank you so much. We can't say much more about this, so we will wrap it up the sessions. Thank you so much for about this about the how the development and the DSA will work, how we can choose it, how we can do the open source, so many things you tell about. As a fresher, we should, after the experience, we'll understand this thing is so important. Someone will tell me before that I started. So thank you so much. So we will wrap it up. Over to you, SPC team. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
evening, sir. So a very big thank you from the Student Placement Council. It was a wonderful session because we got so many points to work on, so many details that we could notice that we have been doing wrong till now, and we have to notice on them. Like, for example, I really love that you showed us skill set that we have to achieve for each and every role of an engineer. That was really wonderful. So we, as the Student Placement Council, we take it into account. We will organize special upskilling sessions for all of those things, and we will make sure that the students are really equipped with that skills. Thank you. Thank you so much for the session.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope you liked whatever I talked about. Again, my perspective, do your own research. Don't just take my word for granted. I talk about my experiences and what I learned. There are tons of different fields that are beyond this. There is concept called network engineering, kernel engineering, which doesn't
Yeah.
require any web development actually. So like I used to work in Linux, like FreeBSD kernel starting of my career, so it was very different. It was just in C. I never even talked about C language today. So it's do your own research. Try to explore more and more. You have all the GPT agent, like the chat agents right now. You have the Google search and all. So do your own research, and all the very best. I know you guys will rock it anyways, my session or not. So yeah,
Yeah.
good connecting with you guys, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Yeah. We love, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Have a
Thank
good day. Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.